I walked alone when the world turned its back on me, when the voices around me fell silent, when the hands I once trusted let go. I had no choice but to keep moving. I walked through the storms, through the darkness, through the nights that felt endless. I did not have a guide, I did not have a map. All I had was the fire inside me, the fire that refused to die. Every step I took was heavy with pain, but I took it anyway. Every mile I crossed was filled with doubt, but I kept walking, because I knew if I stopped, if I let the weight crush me, no one was coming to save me. So I became my own savior. I became my own strength. I learned that sometimes the only path forward is the one you carve with your own hands. I walked alone, carrying wounds no one saw. The scars they left, the betrayals they dealt, the loneliness that echoed in my soul, I carried it all, but I did not crumble. I did not break. I turned my pain into armor. I turned my heartbreak into resilience. Because life does not wait for you to heal. Life does not pause for your suffering. It moves forward, and so must you. So I walked. Through rejection, through failure, through the endless whispers that told me I would never make it. But those whispers did not define me. My actions did. My fight did. And even when my legs trembled, even when my body screamed for rest, I did not stop. Because I knew that every step I took in solitude was shaping me into something unbreakable. I walked alone when the world laughed at my struggles, when they doubted me, when they mocked my dreams. I let their words fuel me. I let their disbelief ignite something ruthless within me. They thought I would fall. They thought I would surrender, but they never understood my kind. I do not bow. I do not beg. I do not seek approval. I build myself in the shadows. I sharpen my mind. I strengthen my soul. And when the time comes, when the moment is right, I will rise, not to prove them wrong, but to prove to myself that I never needed them in the first place. Their absence was not my loss. It was my liberation. And now I move with purpose, with power, with an unshakable will that no one can break. I walked alone, but I did not walk in silence. My footsteps echoed with the lesson pain had taught me. The people who left, the doors that closed, the dreams that shattered, they were all part of my transformation. Every loss carved strength into my bones. Every rejection fueled my hunger to rise. The loneliness they thought would destroy me only sharpened my vision. I see clearer now. I understand deeper now. I no longer chase. I no longer plead. I no longer wait. I create. I conquer. I become. Because in solitude I found my greatest power. The power to depend on no one but myself. The power to walk away from anything that does not serve me. The power to build a future so fierce that even those who abandon me will have no choice but to watch in regret. I walked alone through the cold, through the fear, through the moments when I wanted to collapse. But I did not collapse. I adapted. I grew. I evolved. Because pain is not my enemy, it is my teacher. The trail is not my end, it is my beginning. I have learned to embrace the struggle, to use the darkness as my training ground, and now there is no fear in me, no hesitation, no doubt. I do not fear losing people. I do not fear starting over. I do not fear walking alone. Because I have learned that the strongest warriors are the ones who have stood in battle with no one beside them, and I have stood. and I am still standing. And I will keep standing until my enemies are the ones who tremble, till my past is the one that fades, until my future is the only thing left in my sight. I walked alone, and now I walk with power. I no longer look back. I no longer seek closure. I no longer ask why me, because I already know the answer. Everything I went through, every hardship, every sleepless night, every moment of pain, it was shaping me, preparing me, forging me into something unstoppable. And now I walk with purpose, with vision, with the kind of energy that shakes the ground beneath me. I do not wait for opportunities, I create them. I do not wait for validation, I give it to myself. I am not afraid of the road ahead, no matter how long, no matter how lonely, because I have walked alone before, and I conquered, and I will do it again. I walked alone, and that was my greatest advantage, because in the solitude I found the kind of strength that cannot be given, it must be earned. The kind of resilience that cannot be taught, it must be lived. The kind of power that cannot be taken, it must be built. And I built it. I endured. I transformed. Now I do not fear storms. I am the storm. I do not fear the darkness. I am the light that breaks through it. I do not fear being alone, because now I know I was never truly alone. I had myself. And that was enough. That was always enough. So, to those who underestimated me, to those who walked away, to those who thought I would never rise again, watch me, because this time I am not just walking, I am running, and nothing can stop me now. So if you are walking alone, if you are carrying pain, if you feel like the world has forgotten you, remember this: your power is being built in the silence. Your strength is growing in the solitude. The world is not against you, it is testing you. It is shaping you into something that cannot be broken. So take the pain, take the loneliness, take the struggle, and walk forward, step by step, inch by inch, because one day you will look back and realize that every moment of suffering, every ounce of doubt, every tear, every wound, it was all necessary. It was all part of the process. And when that day comes, you will stand at the top, unshaken, unbreakable, unstoppable. And you will say with fire in your soul and power in your voice, I walked alone and I made it. So now the choice is yours. Stand still and let the weight of the past bury you, or rise and let it shape you into something unstoppable. The pain you carry is not a curse, it is your weapon. The silence around you is not emptiness, it is your training ground. Every step you take from this moment forward must be fueled by purpose. No more waiting, no more doubting, no more fearing. Walk with fire in your soul, with vengeance in your heart, not against them, but against the weakness they thought would destroy you. Let every failure be a lesson, let every scar be a reminder. Let every betrayal be the push you needed to become the force they never saw coming. You walked alone, but you are not broken. You are not defeated. You are rising. And when you arrive, they will know your comeback was the storm they never prepared for. You should have ended me when you had the chance. When I was weak. When I was desperate. When I was shattered into a million unrecognizable pieces. That was your moment. That was your window. But you hesitated. You assumed I'd stay broken. You assumed I'd never rise. But you don't understand people like me. You don't understand that pain is not our prison, it's our forge. You don't understand that suffering does not silence us. It turns us into something terrifyingly unbreakable. You thought you were writing my final chapter, but all you did was ignite something inside me that will never die. You didn't destroy me, you unleashed me. And now I stand before you not as the person you left behind, but as the force you never saw coming. The weak version of me is dead. The new one does not bend, does not break, does not fear. Every scar you left became my armor. Every doubt you planted became my fuel. You didn't see it, did you? That every wound you inflicted was carving something greater inside me. That every tear I shed was washing away the illusions of who I thought I needed to be. I walk through fire, and instead of burning, I absorb the flames. I let them consume everything soft, everything fragile, everything that once made me vulnerable to you. And what remains now? Steel, fire, a relentless hunger to become something so unstoppable that not even your worst intentions can touch me again. You thought you could break me, but I learned how to rebuild myself in ways you'll never understand. My strength was born from the suffering you left me in, and now I don't just survive, I dominate. You made me stronger than I was, and that is your greatest mistake. I used to believe I needed people like you. I used to believe that my worth was tied to your acceptance, that my validation came from your approval. But when you left, when you abandoned, when you betrayed, I was forced to stand alone. And in that silence, I found something more powerful than I ever imagined. I found clarity. I found resilience. I found the truth that no one ever told me, that I was always enough, that I was always capable, that I was always stronger than I gave myself credit for. You thought your absence would destroy me, but it did the opposite. It freed me. It forced me to become the kind of person who doesn't need to beg, doesn't need to chase, doesn't need to wait for someone else to see their worth. Now I walk forward with no fear, no hesitation, no chains. The pain you caused, it no longer hurts. It fuels me. The betrayals you left behind, they no longer haunt me. They empower me. Because I have learned to take everything meant to destroy me and turn it into something lethal, something you will never have control over again. You built a battlefield thinking I wouldn't survive, but I learned how to fight. And now, I don't just survive in chaos, I thrive in it. I have embraced the storm and I have become the thunder. No longer waiting, no longer wishing, no longer seeking permission to exist. The tables have turned, and now it's you who will watch, wondering how I made it out, how I built something greater from the ashes you left me in. I do not fear the past anymore. The past fears me, because I refuse to stay the same. You see, life is not about avoiding pain. It's about mastering it. It's about taking every loss, every rejection, every betrayal, and molding it into something so powerful that nothing can ever shake you again. I no longer ask, why me? I no longer question the unfairness of what happened. Instead, I say thank you. Thank you for the hardship. Thank you for the abandonment. Thank you for underestimating me, because without it, I wouldn't have been forced to find out who I really am. And let me tell you, I love what I have become. A force, a storm, a relentless warrior who will never be caged, never be silenced, never be broken again. The person you thought you destroyed is gone, and what remains is something you could never control. You made me stronger than I was, and now nothing can stop me. I am no longer bitter. I am no longer angry. I am beyond that. I am past the need for revenge, past the need for explanations, because the greatest revenge is becoming untouchable. It's letting success speak louder than pain. It's rising so high that the past can't even reach you anymore. You will never hear me scream in agony again. You will never see me broken, because I have mastered myself. I have taken control of my own destiny. No more seeking closure, no more looking back, no more carrying the weight of people who walked away. I am moving forward with nothing but fire in my veins and purpose in my heart. You were the storm that was meant to break me, but I turned into the hurricane you'll never outrun. And now, I don't chase, I don't beg, I don't stop. So here's my final message to you. I owe you nothing. No explanation, no apology, no second chances. I am done proving myself to people who never saw my worth. I am done waiting for people to realize what they lost, because in truth, I never lost you. You lost me. You lost the version of me who was willing to bend, who was willing to shrink, who was willing to suffer just to be accepted. That person is gone, and what remains now is someone unstoppable. Someone who has walked through hell and come back stronger than ever. You thought you buried me, but you didn't know I was a seed. And now I rise, unshaken, unbreakable, untouchable. You made me stronger than I was, and for that I am forever grateful. So, to anyone who has been broken, betrayed, abandoned, hear me now. Your strength is not in their hands. Your worth is not in their validation. You do not need them to survive. You do not need them to rise. Everything you need is already within you. Take the pain, take the loss, take the heartbreak, and turn it into something unstoppable. Forge yourself in the fire of your struggles. Become so strong, so undeniable, so powerful that nothing can break you again. Because the truth is, the ones who try to destroy you don't matter. What matters is what you do next. What matters is how you rise. What matters is that you take every ounce of suffering and turn it into your greatest weapon. You made me stronger than I was. And now, I will never be weak again. So now it's your turn. You've been hurt. You've been left behind. You've been doubted, betrayed, and underestimated. But the question is, what will you do with it? Will you let it define you? Will you let it chain you to a version of yourself that no longer exists? Or will you rise? Will you take everything they did to break you and use it to become something they can never touch again? This is not the time for hesitation. This is not the time for regret. This is the time to transform, to sharpen yourself into a force so unshakable that even your own past won't recognize you. Stop waiting for closure. Stop waiting for apologies. Stop waiting for them to see your worth. Become so undeniable that their regret becomes their own burden to carry. Stand up. Walk forward. Let your strength speak for itself. You are unstoppable now.